The flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War,
Okay. Can you
suffrage, the Great Depression,
can you like get
world
on with what
wars,
you're trying to say, bro?
civil rights.
I'm already
That
bored.
sacred flame still burns. Now, in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just.
But like a couple of years
That is
ago
the work
before
of my
COVID?
presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the
Whoa,
very
whoa, whoa, whoa,
foundation.
whoa, 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 whoa. MAGAs are MAGA people are not extremists. They literally are just American first people. They believe that if you do politics in America, you should put America first before any other nation. That's literally what MAGA is about. It's make America great again. How is that extremist? It's literally just saying, hey, our country is our country, not the country of the world. We need to do things for ourselves because it's gone past that. I, I I can see why a lot of people hate this speech now. Okay, that's just the first thing that he's really said too. What the freaky fuck? Anyway,
Of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
what? No. You're talking about fucking rhinos. Rhino literally stands for Republican in name only. And there are a lot of them. But that's not the majority of the party. And we've been slowly getting them out of the Republican Party because they don't represent Republicans. They never have. They just want to keep that war machine going constantly. That's what rhinos want. And that's against everything that Republicans stand for. We don't believe in having wars overseas all the time.
Not every
Anyway.
Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things. But I'm an American president, not a president of red America or blue America.
Yes, you're the president that had your DOJ actively trying to persecute a former president because you don't want him in office again. Because you know when he's in office, he's going to literally gut the DOJ. That's what you're afraid of. Because the DOJ is obviously corrupt. There are many internals on the DOJ that have came out and said as much. And they're literally pursuing a political agenda which they're not supposed to do. Dude, oh my lord.
But of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
Wait, what? That's the only thing we believe in. I'm not even really part of quote unquote MAGA, but that's really all that the Republican Party believes in is the Constitution. Like what? How did this is 100% gaslighting on an extreme level. What the fuck? Bro. So it's like, how do you even, how do you even, you know what? Let's just keep going. Mm, I mean, you can obviously tell that I'm not for what he's saying. I don't like Biden. I never have liked Biden. Even when he was the VP, I didn't like Biden. Biden's just a long-term stooge of the Democrat Party. That's what Biden is. He's been in office for 50 freaking years, half a century, and he really hasn't done anything that was good. In fact, you can point out more things that Biden has done bad in his 50 years in office than good. Anyway.
Not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of.
Hold up. Will of the people? The will of the people? It was a very, very tight race. And to say it's the will of the people to push what you're trying to push, you're doing some pretty radical things. And on top of that, there is a lot of discrepancies on the last election, like the involvement of the FBI suppressing stories. That's election interference, flat out. Anybody can point to that and say, hey, that's election interference. Whether it would change the election or not, a whole nother story. But the fact that the FBI went in and said, hey, this story cannot be put out, come on, bro. Just come on.
A free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies.
That's not what they're doing. They're literally going to these election boards and like they're saying it needs to be 100% transparent. It needs to be verified in multiple ways. The voter registrations need to be cleaned regularly and before the election. I mean, these are the type of policies that the Republicans are putting out that are like Arizona. That's a lot of their things that they put out was just like that. They wanted to have it more transparent, more open to the public so that the votes would seem legitimate regardless of who wins or not. That's what they're trying to do. But sure, you go say whatever you want, dude.
Empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose.
No right? What? Bro, that's what voting's for. You choose our people from voting. It's literally what we're doing.
No right to privacy.
No right to privacy? What? You?
No right.
I'm not even gonna go into that.
No right to contraception. No right to marry who you love.
Okay, you have rights to contraceptives. That's never been a thing that people have actually done anything with. The only thing that you can't do is kill a baby with the federal government force behind it. They said, hey, put it to the states. That's it. So each individual state can say, hey, this is how we want our abortion laws. That's all that happened. And the whole gay rights and being able to marry and shit, I've never been against that personally. But it should never, ever have been part of the the church. They should have left the federal government out of that and say, hey, if you want to be married from the federal standpoint, hey, you can get married. Just don't expect the church to hold your wedding. That's what they should have done from the beginning on that. And it would have been perfectly fine in my book. Because anybody should be able to marry if they want to. It'll be a civil marriage instead of a spiritual and or religious marriage. But they can go do that if they want to be miserable. That's the whole thing about that. Go do it, you know? Anyway.
They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence.
Who flamed the flames of political violence? The whole year worth of riots from a particular political party called BLM that is only supported by the Democrats. I mean, at the very start of BLM, it was like 50% of Republicans supported it, or no, it was like 75, I believe. I had to look that one up. But later on, towards probably July of 2020, almost everybody was against BLM from the Republican side because of the riots. And that is 100% backed by the Democrat Party. Also, we can't forget that the insurrection of 529, where one of the guard stations were bombed, the I think it was St. Paul's Church was burnt down. Over 100 guards were injured. I think it was 170 something guards were injured. But, you know, that's the party of peace. Sure.
That are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th.
Okay, there was one door that had people rioting, and there was Oath Keepers at that door. And you can even see in the video where Ray Epps walks up to this one dude, speaks to him in his ear, walks away, and about maybe 15 seconds after he walks away, the dude starts pushing down the gate or fence or whatever that was there, like aggressively trying to do it. And that's the only one that I can think of that was like really riotous. Like they busted open that window, and here's the other part about that particular thing that I still can't figure out to this day, and AOC even pointed this out. AOC pointed this out, saying that there had to have been somebody on the inside that opened up the doors. You can look this up. She tweeted about it probably about 4 months ago now. She tweeted about this, saying that someone on the inside opened up the door and had to have opened up the door because of the maglocks. And if you know how maglocks work, if you try to open that thing, you would have to completely tear down that door to open that door. Anyway.
Brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election.
Even if you had I think it was 800 or something people walking through the Capitol, they couldn't have done anything to stop the transfer of power anyway. You can't just go and occupy a place and take over a government anymore. You have to either... There's two ways to do it. And I'm not condoning either way, mind you. There's two ways to do it. One, you vote in the people that you want to take over the government, and that can be hard. They actually did that in New Hampshire. for a lot of positions, the Free State Party, libertarians. Or the other option is you go in there and you kill everybody and then put in new people, which is what Russia did. I don't particularly condone either way of doing that. One's peaceful, one's not. And I understand how the Free State Project does its thing up in New Hampshire. They do a lot of personal attacks, and that's the reason why I don't condone that one. And personal verbal attacks. They don't actually violently do anything. Just a lot of personal verbal stuff. Anyway.
It's preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people.
Well, you also didn't even want people to try to audit those votes to see if they were legit. And if you had done that, we wouldn't have had any questions. Of like, okay, it's all legit after we did the audit. But you didn't even want an audit done. Like, if you're not even trying to allow an audit, how are you what?
This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Luttig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
How? What has a MAGA ever done? Like, legitimately. You could say, oh, there was 800 people that just bumbled around inside the Capitol. None of them had weapons. Like, you can look at all the videos, you will not see weapons. Now, you might see them pick up objects from the surroundings. Like, there is the one where they had the fire extinguisher, but that was from their surroundings. None of them actually had guns. None of them actually had sticks, knives, none of that. Because it was supposed to be peaceful, right? And even when, and y'all need to look this up too, but almost half of the people, if not more, that got charged with trespassing or other things, if you look it up, a lot, I think it's over half of them now have been acquitted or the charges were dropped or something along those lines. It's only the ones that either pled guilty or obviously did something wrong that have gotten any kind of time put in. Like, there was this one dude that destroyed a window and then he climbed in through it. Well, that's obviously trespassing, so you got charged with that. But there's a lot of them too that they're just there, you know, doing their thing, just walking around like, hey, taking pictures, selfies, all this stuff. They didn't know they were trespassing because the cops let them in. And those are the people that are getting let off. So I don't understand this rhetoric that he's doing right now.
But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans.
What?
Far more Americans.
What?
From every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than
It's
those
not
that accept it.
extreme.
Folks,
It's literally not extreme. Antifa is way more extreme.
It's within our power. It's in our hands.
Way
yours
more
and
extreme.
mine, to stop
Not even
the assault
close.
on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards. to build the future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better.
You know what this reminds me of? Let's go, Brandon! You know what this reminds me of, though? And I wonder if I can pull this up later. This reminds me of Adolf Hitler's speech right before World War II. I wonder if I can pull this up. Matter of fact, we're going to pull that up after this.
Better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation.
Welcome in,
I
Frog.
know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it.
His Vice Chandler's speech in February, March of 1933, yes. I think that is the speech I'm thinking of. I could be wrong, but this does remind me of the Hitler speech. Just repositioning myself in game. Then we will. Oh, this is the red sphere. There's a sphere even out farther than this. Ah. I wonder if that's it. And yeah, Frog, I also want to look up Lenin's speeches as well as Fidel Castro's from the 1950s. Yeah, I might just play them all today, honestly, and react to them all, because I don't think I've heard some of them. All right, let's keep going.
This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people.
Okay, if it was a free and fair election, why didn't you allow... Now, I'm talking about the Democrat Party, not him specifically here. Why didn't the Democrats want the vote audited? Why didn't they look at the merits of the, I think it was 50-something different lawsuits that were put out? Why did it take a year and a half for a judge to finally say to the Pennsylvania lawsuit that was put out that, oh yeah, this was actually against the Constitution of Pennsylvania, and so therefore the votes would not have been legitimate at that time? Like, there's so many lawsuits that just weren't even looked at based upon the merits at the time. And then you do this stuff, what, 2 years later, and it finally gets say, oh, by the way, this shouldn't have happened. Why couldn't you have went 2 years ago before the stuff was ratified? People just didn't want to contest the contested votes to be solidified at the time because they were scared of a civil war. But unfortunately, that's just going to lead to a civil war anyway.
We do not deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still...
Hold up. Justice for all means that everybody's would be looked into evenly, which means Hunter Biden's laptop would be looked into. Hillary's stuff that was on her personal servers would actually be looked into. Wow, the hypocrisy and how to do your chores. All right, dude.
At our core, a democracy.
No, we're not a democracy. We're a representative republic. Please get this correct, sir.
And yet, history tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal.
Hold up. Political violence? Political violence. Okay. The Democratic Party has been very willing to commit violence against others for almost a decade now. And the Republicans are just like, hey, oh, wait, don't. We don't want to be bothered with this. That's about it. The fuck?
Fatal to democracy. For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight,
that's why we're going to vote you out.
Nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else.
They're not extremists, though.
Mainstream Republicans. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed.
Every time he says mainstream Republican, he's talking about a rhino. He's literally talking about a rhino. And nobody likes rhinos. No one I have ever talked to likes rhinos. And I'm as someone that's a libertarian that leans right, I talk to a lot of people that has very weird policies, honestly. Like, oh my goodness.
Saving American democracy, and MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We hear, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period.
Okay, so why are you not putting people behind bars? Why are you just letting them go when it's on the Democrat side? But when it's the Republican side, you put them behind bars for 8, 9, 10 months, a year, 2 years. It doesn't really matter. If you do something for one side, you got to do it for the other side. Otherwise, you're not bipartisan. You're literally just toting your own line.
None, ever. We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it?
Yeah, we had Justin Brett Kavanaugh that was threatened his life, and there were protesters out in front of his house, and he had a credible threat where someone was trying to murder him. They literally planned everything out. They told everybody what he was going to do. He had all the gear, and he was going to go do it. And before he went to go do it, he turned himself in because he said, I have went too far. That's the only reason why Brett Kavanaugh did not die about, was 4 months ago when Roe v. Wade got overturned. So come on, dude. And here's the other thing about it. We're not supposed to protest in front of a judge's house. Ever. And yet, the mayor, the governor, the local police, they were not helping out any of the judges. They would not send out anybody to help them. And that's political persecution. That's literally what it is. But sure, it's only on the right side. Nothing happens on the left. It goes both ways.
FBI agents just doing their job as directed, facing threats.
Okay, the FBI thing, 100% was a political hit job too. Because every single document that was picked up at Mar-a-Lago, and you can look this up, it was brought up from the I'm gonna have to look this up. I'm gonna have to look it up. Every single document that was there, every single one, they were in talks with the what's it called? NORA? I think it's NORA, the National Archive. But they were in active talks with the National Archive about what needs to be taken, what doesn't need to be taken. And there was even an FBI team that went to Mar-a-Lago about a month before the raid. And this isn't talked about a lot either, but there was an FBI team that was there about a month before the raid. And they was just like, oh yeah, just put a padlock on it or something. And they ended up putting their own padlock on the door. So if the FBI agents put their own padlock on the door, but then the next team of FBI agents actually bust down the door, bust the padlock, that's telling me that a different team completely went after that. And if it was a completely different team, there's only one thing to say about it. There's a team out there that has a political hit job, and they knew it was a political hit. And we also know that it was the White House FBI team that did the Mar-a-Lago hit. We know this. We know this for a fact. It's right there in the affidavit. So if we know it's them, and we know the director, not the director, the I forget what the title is, but it's the lead for the team in the White House force. He has direct ties with Epstein, and we know that the I think it's the magistrate that signed off the search warrant also has ties with Epstein. What were they trying to get? Like, there's so much. There's
to their own lives from their own fellow citizens. On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This isn't.
Okay, point out a Republican riot, please.
Inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are.
Again, point out a Republican right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined, for that is a path to chaos. Look, I know politics.
So here's a couple of ideas that I have to secure our elections. One, our elections should be one day, period. I don't care how many votes are being tallied. I don't care how many votes need to be done. All votes on one day, period. Two, election day should be a holiday. That way, if people actually want to go vote, then they go vote. If they don't want to go vote, then go to the beach or something. It doesn't really matter. And three, and this is the big one, all of it needs to be transparent. Every single last bit of it needs to be transparent. Where if any citizen at all, for any reason, decides that they want to audit the vote themselves, they can be given copies of all the hand ballots and they can go through all of them. That would just keep all of it just 100% transparent. You can't say that it ain't. Would it cost? And you could put it as at cost to the individual for that audit. That wants that audit done. And anybody can do it. If they want to audit it, they can do it. It'll cost you X amount of dollars to start the audit. And that'll be a revenue generator for the government as well, because people will want to audit it.
This can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country.
Yeah, you gave to the people that, have student loans, and you took from the people that didn't. Actually, you took from the people that had student loans too, but not as much, but still.
But democracy endures only if.
Oh, and you gave to the colleges that actually had the money that required the loans to begin with, because those colleges just got away free with all that money.
We, the people, respect the guardrails of the Republic only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive.
You don't have a democracy. Please stop saying that.
When one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election, either they win or they were cheated.
And the Democrats have been stating that there's cheating in every single election since I've been alive. There was the hanging Chad bullshit in Florida. Hillary Clinton said that there was cheating going on and there was Russian collusion, blah, 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 for 4 fucking years, and it was all made up, and we found out it was made up. I mean, come on, bro.
And that's where the MAGA Republicans are today. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not the will of the American people be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost. I will not stand by and watch the most fun.
So you allowed the Steele dossier to happen and the whole Russia collusion hoax to be a thing, then the Ukraine hoax to be a thing. I mean, Trump even put out the transcript of the call. It wasn't a quid pro quo, but that still became a thing. And yet we can't talk about your pro quo with Ukraine because you were going to deny them money unless they fired the prosecutor. But sure, you do your thing, man.
Fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look, as your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me.
By the way, are y'all hearing that F Joe Biden in the background? There's definitely an anti-crowd out there.
Throughout our history, America's often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like you're hearing that bullhorn. I believe we can and must do that again, and we are. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID, so we passed the largest economic recovery package since...
Oh, I know he's projecting because he has nothing to stand on. Trump is polling better than him right now. I think Trump is ahead of him by like 10 points. So if there's a vote right now, he'd be out of office and Trump would be in. Period.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and today America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go. I believe we could build a better America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
A trained chimp would pull better? Yeah.
And we've now embarked on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads. I believe we could make America safer. So we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton.
Wait. Second Amendment says the right to bear arms, not the right to bear the arms that you are allowed to by the government. There's something fundamentally wrong with that statement, sir. And you just said earlier in the first part of your speech about people not following the Constitution. Well, you need to follow the Constitution. We have the right to bear arms, sir.
I believe.
What part of Make America Great Again doesn't he understand? Exactly.
We could go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and healthcare more affordable.
Whoa. Time out. Trump was in progress on doing that, and he actually did lower the prescription prices for a lot of drugs here in America. But then the moment you got into office, you canceled out all of his efforts in that direction with your executive orders. You're a fucking liar on that one, dude. You're a fucking liar. And the reason I know this is because my mom's insulin was like $20. And then after you cancel all the executive orders and shit, that shit went up to 700, and I had to pay for it because she still needs her insulin regardless. Fucking liar.
So we passed the most significant health care reform since President Obama signed the Affordable Care Act. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever.
So yay, climate, blah blah blah. Woo. You're just projecting a whole bunch of buzzwords now.
The cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. It's never easy, but we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, progress does come. Look, I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open.
Actually, we're still down quite a few jobs from before the pandemic.
Burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and their compensation. American manufacturing has come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America.
Made in America sounds great, but you're not going to do it.
No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say.
Wait. Who are you calling the white supremacists?
I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence.
Did he really bring up Charlottesville?
Of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward.
Yeah, the light is getting you out of office.
Not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America.
Yeah, my grandchildren will be paying the debt that you're accruing during your presidency, sir.
Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st.
So here's the biggest lie about clean energy. It ain't clean. They literally have to strip mine mountains to make these windmills and the solar panels, and then they ship them over here, and then we erect them. That's what's happening with that. And then on top of that, they only have like a 1.1 or 1.2 yield percentage on them. So you might as well just go get a coal plant and do the same shit, because you're going to get more bang for your buck. Because I think a coal plant, even with burning the carbon, has like a 7 or 8% yield, 7 or 8 time yield for energy use. I mean, it just wow, dude. And then if you talk about nuclear is like 200 or was it 2,000 time yield for the carbon used to build the plant or some shit. Let's build a shitload of thorium reactors instead. Exactly. We should be building those. We should have thorium reactors all around the entirety of our states. Every single state should have one in probably every single city, and we would never have problems with electricity ever fucking again. Ever. Wait, no, we need clean energy. Bro.
Century, another American century, because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of grievance, but on a future we can build together. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail.
No, that's not how MAGA works. You literally don't know anything about MAGA if you're in that particular mindset. Because in the MAGA 4 years that Trump had, the first 3 years were the best fucking years of our lives in regards to our economy. I did not make more money in any other year than I did in 2019. You have an interesting question for me? Go ahead, Dark Shades. Are you showing me that right to bear arms thing again? I still need to read that book, Frog. Still need to read that book.
They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind.
Isn't that the same line that Barack Obama did? No child left behind. No one's left behind, something like that. It's a trilogy, actually. Interesting.
I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true.
You ran for president because you were probably the only person that could possibly even get into office, honestly. Because you had the name recognition that the Democrat Party needed to get the votes. That's really the only reason why you're there. Not because you particularly had any good ideas.
I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God. That all.
Really? Is that where you're going to go? That all people are created equal in the image of God? Apparently you didn't understand the question between equality of outcome versus quality of opportunity. That's what you need to understand there. We have seen today a rise of right-wing governments springing up across the globe. However, I also noticed in recent years a rise of military-led dictatorships seemingly come back into power. Most of it right now in Africa, but also in Asian nations as well. I'm curious what you make of this. Are these military-led dictatorships rising up to combat the spread of far-right or far-left governments? Those by far are more brutal and repressive than left-wing and right-wing governments once the power that they never surrender it. So, here's the thing. When you're talking about a dictatorship, it immediately doesn't matter if it's right wing or left wing. It's a dictatorship at that point. So the individual politics of what is there, it ceased to exist. And now you are in a dictatorship and you have the people that are in power and the people that are not. And you can even look at this all the way across the board. You have the people that are in power and you have the people that are not. Right now, Democrats are in power. Republicans are not. So when you look at that dynamic, it really doesn't matter. Because it can be a left wing or a right wing that's in power and they will still do the same things. The military dictatorship is primarily left wing Marxists and learnings. Yep. And if you are a Marxist, you're automatically a left wing because that's what Marxist is. That's where they align themselves on the spectrum of left versus right. Like, if you believe in communism and socialism, that is already left. That you can't say that it isn't. You have the left side that is communist, and you have the right side that is free market. That socialists and capitalists are the opposing sides to the economical scale. So that the whole left versus right thing, while I understand the use of the terms left versus right, I also don't believe that people understand that by definition of what people do makes them left and right. You know what I'm saying? And also, Africa is a weird place anyway, because Africa has been at war in a lot of its sections for centuries. And they still have slavery in Africa to this day. And nobody even talks about it. It's just one of those things. Just like they have slavery in Asia. It's just one of those things. Nobody really talks about it. I'd rather talk about the place that I know, and that's America. Because America is what matters. The rest of the world doesn't matter to me. I live in America, not all these other countries. Sure, it's nice to know what's happening in other countries just for the fact that they exist, not that I really care about them. I remind you that Nazi was a German acronym meaning National Socialist Workers' Party. Sounds suspiciously commie to me. I mean, the Nazi Party was a commie party. How is that, like, not known? I think this is what I think about that one. I think people just don't understand where the term Nazi comes from, and they don't understand that the Nazis were socialists. Because when we're talking about socialists in America, immediately in your head, you should be saying Nazi. Because that's what they are. Now, are they against the Jews and whatnot? Well, that's a whole nother story. But they still are very akin to being part of that group than anybody else. Having said that, are there some socialist programs that could be implemented that would be okay? Sure. Does it make sense to do that, though, on a grand scale? Maybe, maybe not. Because when we're talking about America and the vastness of the 50 states, which are basically 50 different countries, and then you're talking about the medical system, which is honestly very corrupt and has a very wide range of how much a procedure would cost depending on which hospital you go to. I don't see how any part of that could ever be socialized and it would actually benefit Americans. I think the prices would actually go up across the board. Anyway. Let's keep going.
All are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. That all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence.
Socialism only works when you have unlimited or abundant renewable resources. I just think socialism only works on a small scale. I think once socialism goes to a wider scale, it just doesn't work anymore. So if it's for a small like community, a town, or a small city, like under 10,000 people, I think it could actually be okay to have a socialist thinking and ideology for that. But once you expand that beyond that border, and you're talking about multiple cities and even to the entirety of a state or a province, that's when it's like, wait a minute. We don't think the same way as these other people from this other city. And that's when it just starts to break down and your socialist dream just doesn't work anymore because people have different ideas. So on a smaller scale, I think socialism could work, but on the grand scale, it could never work.
And that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible. Folks, and it's up to us. Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But
we're not a democracy, we're a representative republic. I'm tired of him saying we have a democracy. Please, please, stop saying democracy. It's a representative republic. Oh my lord, go back to civics class.
History and common sense. Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy.
Representative republic.
We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea.
It is an idea. It's a very strong idea that has been going for over 200 years.
The most powerful idea in the history of the world, and it beats in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed, the idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. And that's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities.
I have to point this out. Our national anthem is about one of our bases getting bombed over and over again. And the soldiers in that base continuously kept putting the flag back up, our American flag back up, and they would die to more bombs, and the next soldier would go in and stand that flag back up. And all through the night, they would constantly die as they were putting that flag back up. And after mounds and mounds of our soldiers keep putting that flag back up through the entire night, it still was standing tall. Fort Sumter, War of 1812. That's correct, Rob. That is our national anthem. And there are more stories like that. In World War, I believe it was World War II, a soldier was running in with the flag bearer. The flag bearer gets shot in the head, dies, but before that flag hits the ground, he picks it up and goes charges in with it. He gets critically injured 3 times. That flag never dropped, and he passed it off to somebody else. They had that very flag in the Smithsonian, right? Yep, they do. They also had the flag from World War II in the Smithsonian as well. A young man that was carrying the flag back then. I was reminded of this story not too long ago, but I remember reading it in history class, and that story actually touched me. It's like, how can you be so proud of your country to where you would die just so that the flag would not fall? And yet, if you would even consider doing stuff like that now, people would call you a fascist. And it dawned on me at that point that being that proud of your country could not ever be fascism. Fascism has to be something else. What fascism is, I don't know. I really don't know. But I know that being prideful of your country is not fascism. Being prideful of your country is something natural because you love where you live. You're prideful of your country. Love your country. It's what makes America great, is that we have a lot of people that love their country. And that's why we stood so strong for so many years. And unfortunately, I think we're at the end of our run, but only time will tell on that one. Anyway, let's keep going.
Focusing on the future, and we're only just beginning. Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up.
Fascism is total government control of its citizens through force and intimidation. Isn't there more to it than just that, though?
Speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote.
Yes, everybody go vote. I agree with you there.
And if we do our duty, in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our worst. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be, and that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy, that for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
But we're not united right now. And under your leadership, we've become more divided. So, sure.
The United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
Representative Republican. I said it wrong. Representative Republic. Why does he keep saying what our system of governance is wrong continuously? Okay, that's that one. Which one should I look up next, Frog? I said I was going to look up the Hitler speech. At the Krupp factory? Uh... Which one is it? The boop, 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 boop. Okay, Frog. I think it's this one. I think it's this one. It's in German. These are all shorts. What the whole thing? Make sure you disclaim playing these following speeches. I don't fucking care if people think I'm a Nazi. What are they gonna do? Oh, he's a Nazi. I just want to. I want to hear his speech right before World War II, and the reason I want to hear it because it sounded very similar. I might have to just pull it up and read it, honestly. Yeah, these are all in German. Unfortunate. But yeah, I know they're in German, but I wanted to have someone do a translation so we can hear the translated part of it, you know? Did Biden do the arm waving and podium pounding too? Yeah, he did. He did it like twice. Well, if I can't figure that out, let's do something else. I wasn't really prepped for anything else, honestly. Okay, bro. What else we got? What's happened recently? Let's look that up. From Kyle Rittenhouse to the president of World Taekwondo, who's been inside Trump's Mar-a-Lago office? Why does that matter? Gazprom halts gas supplies to Europe. UN team with the Ukraine nuclear plant not going anywhere. Okay. Means that Biden's speech prompt debate about politicizing the military. Yeah, that actually is something too. He did have 2 military officers sitting in the back. That's definitely politicizing the military. Shouldn't be doing that, bro. You know what? Let's let Timcast. Oh, and there was a really, really good what you call it the other day. Timcast. And they're live now. Okay. I don't want to watch them live though. Law enforcement in Michigan investigates voting machines sold on eBay. What? Police in Michigan are looking into the sale of a voting machine on eBay, the e-commerce website. The voter assistant terminal is designed to help voters, especially those with disabilities, to properly cast their ballots. We are actively working with law enforcement to investigate allegations of the illegal attempt to sell a voter assistant terminal acquired in Michigan. What? While our elections remain secure and safe, we take seriously all violations of election law, and we will be working with relevant authorities to ensure that are consequences for those who break the law. Okay. We have a knack for finding hidden gems really cheap and turning a quick profit. Wasn't even aware that we were supposed to be sold, let alone donated to Goodwill. What? Sale of voting machines related equipment is prohibited under eBay's government items policy. Alright. It got sold for $1,200. Holy crap. Well then. If you want your own voting machine, just pony up $1,200 on eBay. Deal list of the docs FBI took from Mar-a-Lago reveals Trump had mostly magazines, photos, and empty folders. Oh yeah, they did release that. I think they released that today, didn't they? Also, the fact that they released a picture of it and there's classified information in that picture is highly illegal. By the way, you can be prosecuted just by taking that picture, even though it didn't have any of the documents open. Just saying. Other documents removed from Mar-a-Lago, there were 57 documents labeled secret, 31 confidential, which isn't like anybody can have that. It doesn't really matter. 15 were top secret. So 60, 70, 72 documents. Cool. And considering they were supposed to go to the National Archive and they've been working back and forth with the National Archive for about a year, there you go. And then they took a whole bunch of documents and photographs and magazines and newspapers. I mean, it's full screen you. Da, 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 da. Let's slow it on down. Case number, blah, blah, blah. Under seal ex parte, detailed property. Okay, here's the property inventory. Got it. Item 1, documents from office. U.S. government document with secret classification marking. Government document photographs with classification markings. Photographs without classification markings. There we go. Box container from office. Number 2. 99 magazines, newspapers, press, articles, and other printed media dated between 2017 and 18. Oh, I should probably put this on the screen. Hold on. Beep, 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 beep. Beep. Nope, wrong one. This one? This one. All right, here we go, folks. Y'all can read along with me if you're reading it all. I'm doing the itemized list from Mar-a-Lago. The first box had some secret classification markings and some photographs without classification markings at all. The second box had 99 magazine newspapers and press articles between 2017 and 2018. 2 documents of confidential classification markings, 15 of secret, 7 of top secret, 69 government documents, photographs without classification markings, empty folders with classified banners, 43 empty folders with classified banners. So there are empty folders. What the fuck? 28 empty folders labeled return to staff secretary, military aid. Box number 3 had 2 U.S. government documents, photographs without classification markings. Item number 4, documents from office. No other descriptor. Oh, it's on the next page. 26 magazines, newspaper, press articles printed between 2020 and the 1st of 2020 to November of 2020. 1 government document with confidential, 1 with secret, 357 documents and photographs without classification markings. Item 5 had 396 with no classification markings. The next box had 640 documents with and photographs without classification markings. 7th box had 1 document photograph without classification markings. Box 8 had 68 newspaper, magazine, press articles between 2015 and 17. Article of clothing gift item. What? Why'd you take a piece of clothing? What the fuck? You found the Stalin Internet Archive? Interesting. And they took a book, 2 documents, photographs without classification markings. Item 9, 91 magazines, newspaper, press articles, other media print between 2019 and 2020. Another article of clothing gift item. 65 government documents, photos without classification markings. Box container was 30 magazines, newspapers between 2008 and 2019. Why so far back on that one? 11 confidential, 21 secret, 3 articles of clothing, gift items, 1 book, 255 documents, photographs without classification markings, some 116 articles, newspaper, magazine, etc. from 2019 to 2020. Some more confidential, secret, and top secret stuffs. I wish it had a little bit more detail, but this is the itemized of what's there. So far, I'm not seeing anything outrageous for a former president, honestly. I mean, it took 4 or 5 years for Obama to send everything to NORA. I don't use a VPN, so I don't want my IP associated with the website. I'm just kind of going through the last few really quick. I don't understand the article of clothing gift items that they took and put in these boxes. Why would they do that? Why would they take clothing? I don't understand that at all. And why would they take books? And all of these are coming from the same location. It says container from storage room on every single one of these. And a lot of it's just no classification markings at all. The website address indicates its political allegiance. Okay. Well then. Why did that... Just hide that for now. What else we got here? I'm looking for a good speech. Ooh. So Allen West speech. Filters. His speeches are always like 25 minutes to an hour. See? Five years ago, a year ago. Let me pop you out. There we go. Here we go.
First, and
let's skip to when he actually starts the speech.
Like that.
Thank you. Okay, I have a second question. I'm sorry for my tone. Previously, I was just frustrated.
That's okay. I have 2 daughters. They talk to me like that.
Thank you. My question
but
is...
I cut them off with their allowance, though.
Okay, that's loud. Can I change the volume? Here we go. Boom. Let's go.
Well, you don't have that ability.
The word Marxist in the domain name? Oh, shit.
My question is about national security, because I do feel like the The KKK and white nationalists are threats to Black individuals in the United States. There have been multiple.
Have you ever met one?
Recently, within the last 10 years, and there have been an increase of violence against Black people. And I wanted to know if you think that that's a national security issue and how you would address that.
Yeah, I think it's a national security issue right here in the south side of Chicago, where you have a combat zone going on, and Rahm Emanuel and everyone just seems to not care, or as well as in Baltimore or other places. And that's black on black crime. That's not KKK or whatever. But
white on black crime. I'm
well,
sorry, but that's what I was asking.
Okay. Well, then, have you ever heard of Margaret Sanger? Well, Margaret Sanger.
Hold on. I know what he's going to bring up. He's going to bring up Margaret Sanger, and he's going to bring up Planned Parenthood, and how Planned Parenthood is the single most thing that is destroying the Black population. That's what he's going to bring up.
That she founded since 1973, almost 17 million unborn Black babies have been murdered by that organization. I think that's something that we should really be concerned about. The fact that the United States government gives $568.7 million to an organization that was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, a person that spoke at Klan rallies, that referred to Blacks as undesirables and weeds, I would join forces with you in a heartbeat to say that we need to cut off funding to an organization like that called Planned Parenthood. That 50...
And that has been actively targeting Black neighborhoods for the past 50 years now. They've done their job. Margaret Sanger definitely did her job, what she set out to do. The KKK and the neo-Nazis in America are few in number and largely inbred pigs. Yep. But I still can't believe that today in 2022, here in September 2nd of 2022, that Planned Parenthood still exists, and it's still achieving the goals of a eugenics mastermind called Margaret Sanger. And she did this over 50 years ago. And she accomplished her goal by culling the Black herd, which is her own words. That was what she set out to do. She wanted to cull the Black herd. Look it up. It's there. And it's fucking horrible. Planned Parenthood just needs to close down and never open up again. If you want to open up a abortion clinic somewhere else, call it something else with different ideologies and everything, I'm for that. But Planned Parenthood just needs to die.
Well, I don't think we give taxpayer money to the Ku Klux Klan.
And I'm not talking about killing anybody that works at Planned Parenthood, just to, cut that off. I'm talking about the organization itself. It's a hydra that just, you need to chop off all the heads all at once, then salt the moon.
Well, well, yeah, they have. The FBI goes after white supremacist organizations, but then I would ask you, why is it that nobody goes after Antifa? I mean, I think Antifa is also a domestic terrorist organization. I mean, look at what they have done at certain colleges and universities to prevent people from going out there and freely speaking. So let's call a ball and a strike. And so there are many organizations out there that we need to be targeting. But I will tell you, first and foremost, we shouldn't give $568.7 million to an organization like that. And if you do some research, I think between 50 to 55% of Planned Parenthood clinics are in Black communities. That's a travesty. And that, young people, is how you barbecue progressive socialist dummy butt. What a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all to kick this off. And thank you so much, Patrick and Yaf.
I've been watching Allen West for years, and he honestly would have made an amazing president if he had actually went for it. You can't be anti-fascist if you use fascist tactics. Exactly.
For bringing me back out here to Santa Barbara, where I have had the pleasure and honor of having both of my daughters be out here and go up to the Reagan Ranch. And when I think about this moment that we have right now, first and foremost, I want all of the grown-ups, all the adults, all the parents to stand up and be recognized by these young people. Come on, old heads, get up. Come on, get up, get up. What I want you to understand is a verse out of the Bible. Okay, you can sit down now. You had your moment. What I want you to understand is a verse from the Bible. It's Proverbs 22:6. And Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. The responsibility that we have in being here with these young people is much the same as when you run a relay race. And we are about to pass the baton. And if you know about running a relay race, you have an exchange zone. And you must pass the baton in the exchange zone. If you pass the baton too early, you're disqualified. If you pass the baton outside of the exchange zone, you're disqualified. And if you drop the baton, and it's an embarrassing moment, and you're disqualified. Our responsibility right now is to pass the baton, the torch of liberty and freedom to these young people, this next generation. And when I look at what is happening in the United States of America, and I had the opportunity to sit and chat with a young lady that flew in with me today. She lives also in the Dallas area, and she goes to a high school there. And a couple of weekends ago in Dallas, we had this Drag Your Kids to Pride event, where they actually opened up a men's gay bar, and they brought children in, underage children, for a drag queen show. Now, this young lady that I was speaking to is fighting to get the Pledge of Allegiance said at her high school. This is where we are in the United States of America, where we are literally exposing our kids to behaviors that is not consistent with our principles and values, but yet the principles and values that are consistent with this longest running constitutional republic that the world has ever known, we're fighting to preserve them. And one of the things that I'm so honored to do is to get the opportunity to go and fight for these young people in high schools and college campuses. Because as conservatives, we must go on offense. We have to stop reacting. We have to stop being on defense. We have to understand that in America today, this is not a Republican and Democrat thing anymore. This is the seminal conflagration between two different philosophies of governance. That is constitutional conservatism, which, if you read and you understand John Locke, Second Treatise of Government, classical liberalism, natural rights theory, that's the basis of constitutional conservatism. And that's who Thomas Jefferson quoted in the Declaration of Independence when he talked about the laws of nature and nature's God. Because John Locke set forth these United States of America when he came up with the premise that your life, your liberty, your property, those are rights that are endowed to you from a creator. Those are naturally rights that come to you from your creator. It's not about a king, a queen, a duke, a duchess, a prince, or a princess. That is the relationship that you have. And it was codified in our Declaration of Independence when he talked about the laws of nature and nature's God. Now, the opposing philosophy of governance in America right now is progressivism, socialism, Marxism, communism, statism, whatever you want to call it. But what defines us as who we are as conservatives is that we believe that the individual is a supreme and sovereign entity in these United States of America. That the individual is sovereign because their rights come from a sovereign God, the creator God, your life, your liberty, your pursuit of happiness. You are sovereign over the institution of government. But we are facing against a philosophy of governance that believes that the institution of government is sovereign over you and your rights, your freedoms, and your liberties. That they don't believe in the equality of opportunity that allows a kid born on February the 7th of 1961 in a blacks-only hospital to stand here before you today. A retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Army, a former member of the United States House of Representatives, the former chairman of the largest state Republican Party in the United States of America, and even a gubernatorial candidate in that exact same state. That's what conservatives believe in. That's what we have to pass on to you. Because I'm going to tell you something very honestly. There ain't a whole lot of permanent tan faces here. But I want to tell you little white kids something. Not nan one of y'all oppresses me. I want you to understand that. Because of your skin color, that does not define you as being an oppressor. And because of my skin color, that does not define me as being oppressed. Every single one of us live in the greatest nation that the world has ever known, and we can choose to be victors and not be victims.
Amen. That's the perfect way to outline all of that. But you can only do that if you're a person of
That's what
color.
conservatism is.
Honestly.
Now, let's get to the crux of the matter.
You try to say that as a white person, people
the
just
kid
blow you
came over
off.
and said he was in the Air Force. I couldn't make it into the Air Force. They got this IQ test. You got to be really smart to get into the Air Force. And so I went to the Army, and the IQ test for the Army was pretty simple, especially if you want to be a paratrooper. You know, they show you a red light, and they ask you, what does a red light mean? Stop. They show you a green light, and they say, what does the green light mean? I can go. Son, you ready to be a United States Army paratrooper? And so one of the things that I learned as a young officer, as a young paratrooper, one of the things that they taught me was that you write it down. If you want to be prepared to go up and do what you just saw me do, or you saw Dinesh D'Souza do, or you saw Liz Wheeler do, you got to study. As it says in the Bible, train up your mind. My people suffer for lack of knowledge. That's what you have to do. It talks about in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18, about the full armor of God. It starts with you right here. Every single one of you, by the time you leave this seminar, this weekend that you have, you need to have your 3x5 cards. And your 3x5 cards need to be the notations of all of the different things that you're going to be learning, because you've got to be able to quickly refer back to it. And so I'm going to start with my second 3x5 card, because my second 3x5 card breaks down the difference between constitutional conservatism and progressive socialism. That's why you have to be ready to offer an answer at any time.
Actually, a really good topic.
When you talk about constitutional conservatism, the very first thing is our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. America is unlike any other nation, because our Judeo-Christian faith heritage defines who we are. I did not say religion. I said our faith heritage, because our faith heritage gives us those inalienable rights. If you don't have the Judeo-Christian God, then you don't have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when you look at what the left is trying to do in the United States of America, the secular humanists, which is what they are,
Hold on.
they're trying to undermine the omniscient.
I want to back that up a little bit.
I said our faith heritage.
Okay. So what he said right there is actually a really good point. America was founded upon the Judeo-Christian narrative, the faith. There is no other way to outline that. That's what we were based on. That's where all of our laws came from. And to just say that it doesn't exist today in 2022 is just not true. And even today, I think it's still like 55 or 60% of people still align themselves with the Christian faith. You kind of have to respect that, you know? Now, there's a lot of bad Christians. They don't really practice their faith. But typically, by the time someone is 35 to 40, they will reinvest into their faith, and they'll typically find all the stuff that they. Oh shit! I technically beat the game. Haha.
Congratulations, builder of great civilizations. The primary mission of the Dyson Sphere program has been successfully completed with your efforts. The energy you provided is bound to make the homeland develop with high speed, and your figure will imprint with every step forward. This cluster has been activated. To remember your achievements, people light up a star in the Milky Way star map. Yes, it will always record your contribution to the forthcoming third-level civilization. Now please rest a while, and then embark on the journey of the Sea of Stars again.
Technically beat the game. Got it. That's actually pretty cool. I like how they did that. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, honestly. Oh, right. So there's a lot of people that are either atheists, they don't understand religion, or they just flat out think religion is ignorance. And those are the same people that, quite frankly, are 100% against our government, the way that it's set up. Anyway, let's keep going.
Because our faith heritage gives us those inalienable rights. If you don't have the Judeo-Christian God, then you don't have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when you look at what the left is trying to do in the United States of America, the secular humanists, which is what they are, they're trying to undermine the omniscience and the omnipotence of the Creator God. God couldn't get Adam and Eve right. And I'm glad I'm not taking biology with some of you guys, because I think there were, 62 genders now? I would certainly fail biology now, sir. But see, God couldn't get that, the man and male and female thing. God couldn't even get the marriage thing right. We can do that. You can decide what your gender is. God couldn't even get the weather right. I remember when I was in Congress and I was asked, well, Congressman West, do you believe in global warming and climate change? I said, yeah, I believe in climate change. It's winter, spring, summer, and fall. Okay? No, that's not what we're talking about. Because what they're talking about is man-made. What they're talking about is them controlling. And what you have to understand is that to undermine our Judeo-Christian faith heritage, the left wants to establish their own religion, much the same as King Henry VIII did when he wanted a divorce, and the Catholic Church said no. So what did King Henry VIII do? He created his own church. The real essence of separation of church and state has nothing to do with us not being able to pray in schools. It has everything to do with not having a head of state, which is also the head of church, because your very first liberty that you have in the Constitution of the United States of America is the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. But what we find now, if you don't bow down and worship and pray to the religion of the left, then you will be persecuted and you will be prosecuted. Who would have ever thought that the very first thing the government would try to shut down in March of 2020 were churches?
I've said for years the human race is at most 12 years old as species go, and we still have a ways to go before we grow up. Yeah, we definitely have a long way to grow up, bro. Long way to grow up.
Not Walmart, not Mickey D's, not abortion clinics, but churches. That's because the very first part of constitutional conservatism is our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. The second thing is the strength of our families. When I was born in 1961, even though I was born in a blacks-only church, the two-parent household in the black community was between 75 and 77%. What is it today? 24%.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? The policies of a progressive socialist president, Lyndon Baines Johnson. The Great Society, where he said that a woman that has a child out of wedlock will get a check from the government, making victims. And she will continue to get a check from the government no matter how many children she is having out of wedlock, except there's a caveat. There can no longer be a working man in the home.
Yep.
And you look and see what is happening in our inner cities all across the United States
So
today.
about that, technically, along with Section 8, there's supposed to be a Section 17 house built as well. And a Section 17 house is supposed to be built for couples, impoverished couples. But Section 17 houses basically don't exist. I can't think of anywhere in the entirety of the United States that any of them exist. It's there, it's in the law that was signed, but it just doesn't exist. Talking about families, you know what started goals of BLM are, right? The breaking apart of the families. Yeah, I remember seeing them.
How many kids in the United States of America this past weekend had no father for Father's Day because of the government coming in and undermining that strong constitutional conservative principle of families? The next thing that is part of our principles as constitutional conservatives is a quality education. We do not need cultural Marxism. We do not need indoctrination happening in our schools. What our schools are supposed to be doing is teaching you to be productive members of society, training up your mind so you can go out and understand what you can do to have a prosperous life. But instead, they're trying to indoctrinate you. There is a war on each and every one of you.
So, I didn't learn this until later in my life, obviously. I was probably, and mind you, 10 years of my life is just kind of wasted working. So I didn't try to do anything of myself. But when it comes to school, schools don't prep you for life. They don't prep you for life at all. All the schools do is provide you knowledge in general, but it does not prep you to actually do anything in life. There's no application from what you learn in school to the real world. And that's the reason why schools suck. Everybody you ask, and you can do this in your own life, every single person that you ask, if you ask them how public schools are, how was your schooling? Did you learn anything in school? They're going to say, no, it sucks. And yet we still put our kids into public schools. Why?
Our children in the United States of America, and parents, grandparents, adults, we have got to stand and fight for our children in this day and age. When we hear about what is happening in our schools, and thank God, the one good thing about COVID was that kids had to be at home, and the parents had to be at home, and parents finally saw the guard.
Taught you how to write checks in 3rd grade in Connecticut. Oh, that's because they wanted you to write that check to the government, man. You got to pay them taxes.
Garbage that their kids were being indoctrinated with. Not a quality education, but an unqualified indoctrination. And that's why I tell people the most important elected position in the United States of America is school board, not president. It's not senator. It's not governor. It's school board.
Yep.
Because that's how we affect the future generations. That's how we make sure that you become the leaders now and the leaders for the future. Math, science, civics, history. Those are the crux. Those are the foundations that we need to be teaching to each and every one of you. And we need to listen to you. When you come home and you tell us, or when you tell YAF, here's a problem that I have in my high school, such as in Garland High School. I live in Garland, Texas. And when they told the YAF chapter that wanted to have an organization, they couldn't have it. You could have all other kind of different clubs, but they couldn't have the YAF chapter. Well, guess what the old colonel did? The old colonel went to social media. The old colonel stood up and spoke up, and within 2 weeks, they had the YAF chapter at Garland High School. That's what we must do. I love YAF because they send us, the warriors, to go in and fight for you on these college and university campuses. Maybe some of y'all saw what happened at the University of Buffalo just recently with me being there. But the thing is that we exposed what was happening there. When these young black kids come out and start talking about Black Lives Matter, my simple question to them, which Black Lives Matter? Because the black lives are being killed every weekend in Chicago or Detroit. I don't hear about that. The black lives are being murdered, unborn, in the womb. Now we're over 20 million. I don't hear about that. The black lives are being relegated to failed public schools in the inner city. I don't hear about that. That's what we have to do, is to challenge them wisely and challenge them aggressively. And when they call your name, you're winning the debate. Too often when they call us a name, we get reticent, we get recalcitrant, we go back on our heels because nobody wants to get called a name. Well, let me tell you something.
People call you names all the time. If your argument is sound, the only thing that someone will have against you is to call you a name. So you keep your sound argument and you could push it forward because they have nothing else if they're calling you names. That means you have already won. So push forward at that point. Keep pushing forward.
Either you choose to believe in the flag that you took a pledge of allegiance to right now and you stand up for these principles and values, or you just cower away in your home and you make sure that I don't want to be called a bad name. Uncle Tom, sellout, Oreo, house N-word, white man's porch monkey. That was pretty inventive, white man's porch monkey. I'll give it to him on that one. But do you think that a guy that used to jump out of airplanes in the middle of the night at 800 feet with 250 pounds of gear and been in 3 combat zones will really care if you call him a name? No. Because what you just did was you let me know that I have the upper hand, that I have the initiative. And I want you to understand that, young people. When they call you a name, you don't back down. When they call you a name, you get more aggressive and you continue to go at them because you have trained up your mind to win the debate that you're in. And that's what a quality education gives you. And that's why you're here with YAF right now, to get armored up, to be able to go out there on this
Didn't I just say that basically?
In your high schools, in your colleges, because you're fighting against your peers. You're fighting against teachers. You're fighting against professors. You may be fighting against some other parents. And you're fighting against an administration. But this organization and this old colonel is going to wrap our arms around you, and we're going to be there for you. Individual responsibility is another thing. If you really want to get a big whipping from my mommy and daddy, say
individual responsibility is something that I honestly preach. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not doing the things right for your life, don't expect nobody to help you out. If you're fat, get yourself thin. If you're poor, go get a second job to help yourself get out of being poor. There's so many things that you can do to get out of the situation that you're in. If you don't have the ideas to get out of those situations, ask somebody that might have those ideas. Because many people have thoughts and ideas that could help you out. You just need to seek out those people and pursue that advice. It's all the data, all the information, everything that you need in life is out there. You just need to go get it. Can't you getting a job? Yep. See, if Frog's leveling up, he's getting some more income in his life. FML leveled up. He's got a new job. He's looking at buying a house. He's lost a whole bunch of weight. I mean, I can point out all the kids that I mentor. It's like, to date, I have mentored 75 kids. And to date, out of 75 kids, I have not had a failure yet. Every single one of them are making $60,000 a year or more right now. Or they're in college. One or the other. Although I don't consider the ones in college technically a win yet. But they're going to do well in their lives. Because every single kid that I have mentored and is going to college right now, they're going into a STEM degree. And I think all of them are going either into chemistry or they're going into computer science. Can't think of it. One of them went into physics.
Applause, please.
One of them went into physics because he wants to be an astrophysicist. You might actually hear about him eventually. He's a really smart dude. His name's Kelvin. If you ever see a dude named Kelvin in the news in like 50 years, that's I mentored him. Pretty fucking smart. I honestly, I don't even know why he came to that group. He was already on the right path. Anyway, let's go.
It wasn't your fault.
And thank you for the biddies, Rogs. Thank you for the biddies.
Blame somebody else. Maybe my mommy and daddy should talk to the president right now because he's really good at blaming everybody else. But the bottom line is that America sees the individual. We don't see the collective. We don't see you as just a number. And we want you to be responsible. We want you to be accountable. We want you to go out there and try. The motto of the British Special Air Services, the SAS, is this: who dares wins. Life is not about a participation trophy. And adults, we messed up. We thought
I was
that if we
angry
gave
when I
our
got a
kids little
participation
plastic
trophy, by
trinket,
the way. I was
that would
legitimately
help
angry.
to inspire them or help their self-esteem, instead of pulling them off to the side
Okay, bro.
and saying, let me help you so that you can get in that game. Let me help you so that you can do a little bit better. We've got to stop making our young people believe that they're not responsible for their actions. And I got to tell you something that concerns me, young people: the amount of suicides I see out there. The fact that we are losing so many of you to this fentanyl. The fact that people are going on social media and ordering up these drugs and it ends up killing them. That's why I'm challenging you, each and every one of you right now. If you do not have a battle buddy, because we are in a fight, you've got to have someone that keeps you sharp, keeps you straight, keeps you on the straight and narrow. As it says in Proverbs, iron sharpens iron. No soldier goes into battle and he doesn't have a battle buddy. So this weekend, look to see who could be your new battle buddy that will be with you and carry you not just through these few days, but maybe over the next few years. Our free market economic system is part of who we are. We have built the greatest nation that the world has ever known. I want you to think about something. I've been to 13 different countries, a little more, and 3 different combat zones. Nothing beats the land of the all-night 7-Eleven, Denny's, and Waffle House. Okay? I couldn't get no waffles at 1 o'clock in the morning in Italy or Korea. Certainly couldn't get it in Kandahar, Afghanistan. But I want you to realize what has been done in this country in 246 short years is a miracle. It's remarkable because of our constitutional conservative principles and values, especially our free market economic principles and values. Because we believe in you. We believe in your innovation. We believe in your ingenuity. We believe in your drive and your determination. Who would have ever thought in the United States of America, when we would see a time when our government would pay people to stay at home and not work?
Yeah, that was
Because in America,
just
we
dumb.
believe in the economic empowerment of the individual, not the economic enslavement of the individual. Who would have ever believed in the United States of America that a little girl would go out and put up a lemonade stand and police would come by and shut down her lemonade stand because she had violated some regulations?
Which doesn't
How
make
do you
sense.
inspire free market
right?
entrepreneurship in a young lady like that? My ideological mentor is a guy by the name of Booker T. Washington. Maybe some of y'all have heard of Booker T. Washington. If you have not read his autobiography, Up From Slavery, you need to read his autobiography. You want to talk about a person that could have been a victim but decided to be a victor? He put everything into education. He is the father of black conservatism. He is one of the greatest conservative minds that this country has ever produced. And when he established Tuskegee Normal Industrial Institute, his principles were education, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance. The only
Yep.
black institution of higher learning in the South for recently freed slaves. Not only did they get a book education, they made their own bricks to build their own buildings for the school. They learned the wood shop so that they could build their own desks. That's free market entrepreneurship. And even in the darkest days of the United States of America for the black community, you saw small businesses and entrepreneurship, Negro Business League, all of these things. We got to get back to that. Because if not, socialism as an economic model will always fail. Don't believe me? One of the most prosperous nations in the Western Hemisphere, once upon a time ago,
Venezuela.
was Venezuela. More oil and gas reserves than even Saudi Arabia. But when Hugo Chavez came in, well, the rest of it is
Do some
history.
mentoring streams.
Because socialists believe in nationalizing economic production. They don't believe in you being able to go out and establish a business.
I don't know if I
Run
could.
it yourselves.
Like,
That's who we are. The last aspect of constitutional conservatism is that we believe in our.
I would have to
strong
have
national
someone to
security. And I gotta tell you, how
mentor
many
to
Texans
do a
we got out
mentoring
there?
stream. I don't really know how to just talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, they live streaming this, and that's all y'all got? I'm giving you a second chance. How many Texans we got out there? All right, that's a little better. But look at what is happening in the border of Texas. We are not even protecting our own national sovereignty. And in the Constitution of the United States of America, in Article 4, Section 4, it's called the Guarantee Clause. Two things that the federal government is supposed to guarantee to every state in the Union. Number one, a Republican form of government. Not Republican Party, a Republican form of government, because America is a constitutional republic. If any of y'all ever come up to me and say America is a democracy, I will hurt you. The second thing is the federal government is supposed to make sure that every state in the union is protected from invasion. Millions are coming across the border into the United States of America legally. We're a very benevolent society, very benevolent people, but we want you to knock on the front door. Because what we see happening now is that we have a drug, a sex,
It'll take a little work to
human
attract
trafficking
mentees.
crisis in the United
Yeah.
States of America, which is affecting your generation right now. And if we don't correct it, it will affect your generation into the future. Our Judeo-Christian faith heritage, our strong families, the quality of education, individual responsibility, our free market economic system, and our national security. That is the foundation and the cornerstone of constitutional conservatism. And real quickly, what does the other side believe in? Wealth redistribution. What do they believe in? Nationalizing economic production. What do they believe in? Creating and expanding a welfare nanny state. What
Which
do they
is
believe
a
in?
horrible
Social
idea.
egalitarianism, saying that everybody is equal. What do they believe in? Secular humanism. Nothing that the left in America believes in is in congruence with the founding and the foundation of the United States of America. We got a window of opportunity, team, in these next few years to preserve the last best hope for mankind. When I think about this man that you're going to go up there and see his ranch, Ronald Reagan, the impact that he had on my life was that he told me it ain't about black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. It's about one word. It's American.
Yep.
It's about standing up for America. When we went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm,
Stuff and
we
face
had
in my
all
lurking.
new
All right,
battle
frog.
equipment because of Ronald Reagan. He invested in our national security, and he gave us those immortal words, peace through strength. America is not standing strong right now. But when I look out at your faces, I know that the better days of this great nation are ahead of us. And I will do my part in passing that torch to each and every one of you. And I will do my part in going out there and fighting for you and with you to make sure that you have every single opportunity that I had in this incredible nation that I love. And that's why when folks say that America's a racist nation, that America's not an exceptional nation? I'm just reminded of what my dad said to me. My dad, who was born in 1920 in the South, who went to fight for this country as a corporal in the United States Army when this country did not see him as equal to some other people. He said that there's no greater honor than to wear the uniform of the United States of America. He challenged me to be the first officer in our family. And from that simple corporal from South Georgia, who had a son that was a lance corporal, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, who had another son that was a lieutenant colonel, 3 combat tours of duty, who now has a grandson who's a lieutenant colonel with 3 combat tours of duty, who now, I have a son-in-law right now who's at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, going through Army basic training. The greatness of America is in each and every one of us. Our light makes America exceptional. We say e pluribus unum. From the many of us, it comes one. The socialists don't believe that. The Marxists don't believe that. They have come out the closet and they're declaring who they are and what they believe in. And I say we fight. I say we meet them, we challenge them, and we say we're not going to surrender another inch of these United States of America. God bless you all and thank you. Thanks.
That honestly, at the very end, sounded like a war declaration. Alan,
Thank you.
back off on that a little bit. But I also kind of agree with the sentiment that we should not secede any more of our rights.
Because all y'all want to hear is Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles. He wrote a book with no pages.
Hey,
It's
Michael.
the best book.
How you doing? All right, question and answer time, right?
So we do have time for some questions. So Matt is going to help out with the Q&A line. So feel free to come up to the mic. Just state your name, where you're from, and a brief question.
All right, not everybody run at the same time. I mean. All right, shoot, go. From Rome, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir,
I'm Henry Thornton, and I'm from Rome, Georgia. And I wanted to ask you, I actually wrote it down. So what do you think about the pullout in Afghanistan as a veteran?
oh shit. He's going to say it was a surrender, not a pullout.
The withdrawal from, and first and foremost, I spent 2.5 years in Afghanistan, in Kandahar province, southern Afghanistan, the hotbed, the home of the Taliban. That hurt my heart. And there were many of my friends that I had to talk out of committing suicide. That was the greatest strategic, operational, and tactical debacle in the history of the United States of America.
Yep.
Because we fought hard to get that enemy off the battlefield, the enemy that harbored the people that brought 9/11 to our shores. And we restored that enemy right back into power. And on top of that, we gave them billions of dollars of equipment and made them, I think, the 12th or 13th largest Air Force in the United States of America. So
Yep.
that hurt. It really did. And that's why you see what is happening today, because the enemies of America see us at a weak point, being Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and Islamic jihadists.
And he is correct in saying this. The way that Biden handled Afghanistan is the reason why Ukraine happened, is the reason why China is I think China is still to this day basically in siege mode against Taiwan. I could be wrong, but it's been a while. I don't know if they stopped or not. But I know they were in siege mode against Taiwan for several weeks. I don't know. But he is correct in saying that because of that withdrawal, that was basically a surrender. That's why the status of the world is what it is today.
And the Islamic jihadists, if you read intelligence reports, Al Qaeda is making a comeback, ISIS is making a comeback, Haqqani Network, everybody. Afghanistan is once again a hotbed. People have asked me, what is the most memorable thing that you could think of in your entire time in the military? It's very easy. Seeing little girls go to school in Afghanistan. They did not have that opportunity until we showed up. And it breaks my heart knowing that that opportunity is gone. And they have gone right back. And that was a generation of girls that never knew the previous heinous, barbaric acts of the Taliban, like shooting Malala Yousafzai in the head for wanting education, throwing acid on little girls going to school. So it hurts.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And they're back to doing that now too. We don't hear the stories, but it's happening right now.
Hello, sir. My
Hey.
name is Nathan Thomas.
Yep.
I'm from Blythe, California.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that your ideological mentor is Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, what specific ideas or traits have you seen in Mr. Washington and applied to yourself?
A never quit philosophy. I mean, here was a guy that, like I said, was born into slavery. And when he became free, he only wanted one thing, that was an education. And he basically went from present day West Virginia all the way over to Hampton Roads area to Hampton Institute. And he was recognized because of his diligence and determination and his humility that they told him to go and establish the first institution of higher learning for blacks in the South. He didn't say, I can't
And
do it.
there's a high
He
school
didn't say,
named after
"Well,
him
who's gonna
in
help me?"
Portsmouth
He
too.
just took off and did it. And so when I look at what came out of Tuskegee Institute, George Washington Carver and all the agricultural experimentation, the Tuskegee Airmen, even the Commodores, some of y'all old heads, y'all remember the Commodores, right? They came out of Tuskegee, Alabama. But what I'm getting you to understand is that he didn't start out saying, who's gonna give me some reparations? So I find it absolutely insidious that we got people running around here today talking about, I need reparations from slavery.
Which doesn't make any sense because that was over 100 years ago now. If something affects you today that was over 100 years ago, I'm sorry, you're delusional.
But you needed to get off your butt and get out there and take
Get a fucking
advantage of the
job.
equality of opportunity that this country affords you. I am sick and tired of so many people falling for the line of being a victim.
Here's the thing, and this is for anybody that is young. If you're 20 years old, 18, hell, you can even do this when you're 16, sort of, but it's not really till you're 18. But if you're 18 years old, you can go get yourself 2 jobs, 2 minimum wage jobs. Minimum wage in most states is $7.50. 2 jobs at $7.50 will put you at, and let's just do the freaking calculations because, you know, that's just how I am. That would put you at $31,200 a year. 2 minimum wage jobs. This is more than what I used to make when I started out in the IT field, just FYI. If you can go and do that, save your money, pay as little as you can for everything that you need to do, like, and I'm talking about eating ramen, scripting and saving, get the cheapest car that you possibly can. It could be a clunker, it doesn't really matter as long as it runs, right? But if you do that, you save all that money, you get that initial investment into a house after, say, 2 years. Now you got yourself a duplex. You take that rental money that you're getting from the other half of your duplex, and that pays for your mortgage, basically. So you keep doing that 2 jobs. You might even get a better job in this time frame because you got a little bit of experience under you. But you keep doing this for another year, you'll have that extra money to get yourself a second duplex. And with that second duplex, well, now you got 3 rentals and you're still living in one. You're making that extra income. Let's say it's $700 per rental, because I think that's about I think it's $750 for the going rate around here. So if it's $750 is the going rate, that's $18,000 right there. Because you got 750 times 2 times 12, right? That's the math. That's 18,000 from the 2 rentals off that new duplex that you just bought for 1 year. If you save all of that and you don't have any issues going on with the house, well, you're basically got half your income again already. And then you do that one more very cheap rent. Around here, it's about $750 for a duplex. So yeah, it is pretty cheap. I'm just going off of rates that are here in Virginia. It's different for other states, and it's probably easier to do this in other states as well. But if you do this for 3 years, well, now you're 1,800. Your 18,000 after 3 years becomes 36,000. Well, now you're making 67,000 a year, and you own 3 duplexes. So not only do you have 67,000 a year, you own 3 duplexes, which are going to be worth around 150,000 each. So you got about $450,000 worth of assets. You're in a damn good space than anybody else that I can think of at that point. And on top of that, on the 4th year, you get that 18,000 again with another duplex. You're looking at 54,000 a year from rentals. And after 10 years of doing this, you'll be making well over 6 figures from rentals. Anybody can do this. It just takes a hard iron will to work 2 jobs, to scrimp and save that money to get that initial investment in. And to do that and keep that scrimping and saving mindset for a couple of years to get those duplexes, to keep it going. It does take a lot of mental fortitude to do that. But it can be done. And I mean, admittedly, it's taken me probably 6 years to get my first duplex, even though I own my own house, so I was a little bit set behind anyway. But you can do this stuff. Anybody can do this stuff. The math works. I know a couple of people that have done it, and one of my students that I mentor actually has done it. He has 4 duplexes now, and he's well on his way to purchasing another 2 this year, because he's like, why am I just going to do 1 a year? I could just buy more, right? It's like, yeah, you can. It's possible. You can do it. It's a thing. But he's like, why don't I just get all the properties? I'm like, okay, go for it, bro. Go for it. 1 bedroom apartment in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn averages about $3,650 a month, and that's barely upper middle class. Holy shit, dude. That is expensive. That's more than something that would equate to that here, Frog, would be a 6-bedroom, 4-bath freaking house that's about what you would get for that kind of rent here. There's not many places that would be that expensive anywhere in the States, honestly. Like, even in Virginia Beach, you would still get a house for that kind of rent. And that's right there on the beach. Anyway, let's keep going.
And so that is the example that he has set for me in my life, is that there's no need to be a victim.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Up from Slavery is his autobiography. That should be on your reading list.
Hi there, Mr. West.
Hi, sir.
Hi. My name is Joshua Fowler. I'm from Santa Clarita, California. I was wondering, you said a lot about the importance of a quality education.
Yep.
And I just wanted to know if you had anything to say on the lines of public school versus homeschool education.
And let me tell you what I believe in. I believe in school choice. I believe that the people that make the best decision for their child is the parent. And I am so happy that the Supreme Court made the decision that they did about the main public school system, because, you know, the parent should be able to say, this is what I want my child to have. And the dollars of the parent should follow that child to wherever they decide for that child to go, which includes being in homeschooling. Now, the thing that we have to be very careful of is that all of a sudden, you know how government can get. We don't want them to go in and then start manipulating and saying that this is the type of curriculum that needs to be done, even in homeschooling. What do you see happening now? Now the government is talking about a national curriculum, nationalizing economic production, all type of production. That's part of the socialist economic model. So I think it is important that we challenge the left and the control that they have on the public school system. You know, the teachers' unions aren't standing up for kids. The teachers' unions are standing up for themselves. And what they have done to our children over the past couple of years is criminal. It really is what they have done in setting our kids back. Look, even in the state of Texas is somewhere 45 or 46 in education in the United States of America. And we can't get school choice passed in Texas.
Which doesn't make sense. School choice should be a thing all the way around.
Of this generation. And especially when you look at our inner cities, no one should be relegated to a failed education system. And we need to do better. And that's why we have you all out there to start carrying that mantle. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening. My name is Daniel Levy. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm the Air Force jock back. And so my question for you...
I know, you want a flight suit, you want, you know, the cool shades and everything.
My question for you is concerning the wokeness that we've seen in our military in the last couple of years, pushing critical race theory and those types of agendas. Do you think that this is going to take our military into a downward spiral to where it crashes, or do you think that the pendulum's going to swing back in the future and kick all that stuff out?
Look, you're looking at someone, I survived the 8 years of Bill Clinton being in office. It was not fun for us in the military. I mean, we had to buy our own toilet paper going into the barracks. We had to buy our own tools. Friends of mine that were in tank units had to use golf carts to go out and do tank tactics because the fuel, we couldn't afford the fuel. We couldn't afford the spare parts because so much money has been taken away from us. So we will be able to survive this. But this is what we have to understand. And you got to go back to the Obama administration. Barack Obama did an incredible job purging the senior level leadership in our United States military. He absolutely did. And if President Trump was sitting right here where Patrick is sitting, I would tell him that, sir, you made a mistake in not going back and fixing the senior level leadership of our United States military. That's what we have to start looking at. When people talk about the deep state, it's this bureaucratic administrative state. It's not just the people that are up in these major cabinet positions. It's 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 levels deep that we have to be concerned with. And so I don't know if some of y'all have seen this recent video that came out from the Navy about pronouns that are supposed to be used. Or even they got this, teaching about,
Dude, when they started doing that shit, that's the reason why I got out of being with the Navy.
Say to
I didn't want to be a contractor with them anymore.
Because of your skin color, you're an oppressor, or because of your skin color, you're oppressed, but yet we want you to go out and fight as a cohesive unit. That's dumb. And so what we got to do in 2024, look, roadkill will beat Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, okay? But
You ain't wrong.
roadkill has to go in there and make sure that we have the right constitutional conservatives, not just Republicans, but constitutional conservatives in these positions in our government, especially in our military. We're going to be in a world of hurt because China, Russia, and all these people, they see this as a window of opportunity. China just launched its third aircraft carrier. About 10 years ago, China did not have an aircraft carrier. The means by which you project a nation's strength, and I know you're going to love me saying this, sir, is through its Navy. That goes all the way back to the Athenians. And so when we see China putting so much into their Navy, just the same as Japan did, we need to be very concerned. We got the smallest naval force that we have ever had in the history of the United States of America right now, modern history.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
And that's after we decommissioned over 60 destroyer class.
Hello, my name is Megan Richardson, and I live in Palm Springs, California. So my question is regarding the recent Supreme Court decision for school choice in Maine. And one of the 3 dissenting judges said that it threatens the separation of church and state. And I know that the left has really misconstrued what that means.
Totally.
And so I wanted to understand what you believe that the Founding Fathers actually meant by that statement.
Well, it's very simple. If you go back and you read Thomas Jefferson's letter to the Danbury Baptist Convention of Connecticut, what the concern was the schism between Baptists and Presbyterians. And what they wanted to make sure that those Presbyterians didn't get a whole bunch of power and exclude the Baptists. This was never about separating our Judeo-Christian faith heritage from the fabric of the United States of America. And if you really look, most of our founding fathers, they talked about that coordination between understanding the gospel and the principles of Christianity and education.
Yep.
So separation of church and state meant that we did not want to have a head of state that was head of the church. But when you look at this Coach Kennedy case that was up before the Supreme Court, Coach Kennedy did not go out there and say, y'all must come down and pray with me. He went out there by himself. He didn't get on a megaphone or anything like that, and he just knelt alone. He didn't say anything else. And to say that that's a violation of separation of church and state, that's them trying to strip away from you your very first liberty, the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. So what ends up happening is that the public schools don't want any challenge. They don't want to see the loss of that money. They want that money to go where they have the impact and the influence. You know, we were talking at the table here. I want every state to have a Hillsdale College. I want us to be able to say that, no, you don't have to go to these major land grant universities. And I wish we had governors that would stand up and say, if this is the type of stuff, I'm sorry, I know mixed crowd here. If this is the type of stuff you want to teach on a college or university campus, you're not getting state taxpayer money. Dip into your endowment fund, but you're not getting state taxpayer money. That's what we have to start doing, is challenging the left. And we should not, I mean, we have professors at Texas and Texas A&M that said, we're going to continue to teach cultural Marxism, critical race theory on our campuses in Texas and Texas A&M. Well, the governor should have said, very well. Here's your line item veto. You're not getting any state-supported fund from that. That's what we have to start doing. So that dissenting judge, I think it was Sotomayor, she ain't been right on any decision in quite some time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bates. And my question is, when we debate controversial topics with leftists, like you said, the abortion rate for black babies, like the number of dead
It's over 20 million.
Do you think it's better to have like a squad instead of just a battle buddy in something like that?
Well, it depends on how good you are. I mean, when I was in the Congressional Black Caucus, I mean, it was one of me and 41 of them. That was fair odds for me. Okay, but Sarah brings up a good point. The numbers that you need to have with you is based upon your experience and your understanding, your knowledge. You know, I don't have any problems going to Northwestern or Cornell or some of the other lovely places that Patrick has said. I was just tickled pink when all of these kids went crazy at the University of Buffalo because it was not a fair fight. But it's going to take a while for you to get to that point. But it's kind of like the apprenticeship that you're starting here right now. And that's why I'm saying you got to carry your 3x5 cars. And it has to be something that you go over and over and over again. That's what the military does. The military makes you do something over and over and over again. Why? Because when you get in a firefight, it has to be instinctive. You ain't got time to break out a book in a firefight. But that's what I want you to do. And let me congratulate you all on something. You all are light years past where I was being in high school. I mean, you are. And so I want to thank you for stepping up in this time, because you could be back looking at life with the Kardashians or playing on TikTok, or maybe some of y'all will play on TikTok later, but don't, because China is, taking your personal information. But the level of experience that you have is based upon how many people you need to carry with you. A Special Forces A team has how many people in it? Just 12. Just 12. Now, when they first start out, they probably can't go out and do that. But through their experience and their training, they become that A team and they can go out and do it. But you got to start with a battle buddy, and then you can have a battle squad. You can have a battle platoon. But it's got to start with you training your mind first and foremost.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello, sir. My
Howdy.
name is Esther Ishler. I'm from San Jose, California. And my question is...
He's nervous as
what
fuck.
tips would you have for someone who's interested in joining the Army? And also, if you have the time, what was your workout routine like? Sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm 61, and I still get up 6 days out of the week, and I put in anywhere from 3.5 up to 5.5. If I feel real good, I'll push it out to 6 miles. A lot of push-ups, a lot of crunches. I don't go to the gym, and when the weather's nice, I hit the outdoor pool and get a lot of laps in.
100 push-ups, 100 crunches every day.
Muscle and strength. That's what the military is looking for.
If you
Not
do that,
I'm going to put everything in the
should
gym on a
lose
ball
weight,
and try
be
to
toned.
push it out. Because when you're out there on a 20-mile hump and you've got 80 pounds on your back, you need to have endurance muscle, not just power muscle. And what I would tell you is that, just the same as my dad told me, there is no greater honor than to wear the uniform of the United States of America. To have the title of soldier, sailor, airman, marine, and coast guard. And so there are so many people that are concerned about, well, it's the Biden administration, maybe I shouldn't go in. The uniqueness of our military is that we don't take an oath to a political party. We don't take an oath to a person. We take an oath to this, the Constitution of the United States of America. And see, the Constitution of the United States of America is immutable. It's our rule of law. And if you believe in this, then be a soldier, sailor, airman, marine, or coast guardsman. And what I will tell you is that there takes a level of discipline, it takes a level of humility, and it takes a level of understanding that you may have to do what Abraham Lincoln said in the Gettysburg Address: be willing to make the last full measure of devotion. Memorial Day hits me hard because I'm remembering buddies that ain't here anymore. But you know what my responsibility is? To make sure that their loss of life shall not be in vain.
That's why I pull one out
So I hope
every
that
Memorial
you will
Day.
join our little fraternity and sorority of warriors for this great nation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, folks. I'm going to end it there. We're going to read Morrow. She's playing some Untitled Goose Game. I don't really know what it's about, but that's what we're going to do. Everybody that joined me today, thank me on this political stretch. What are we doing tomorrow? I don't know. I think, and I say this tentatively, I think we are going to do some Stranger Paradise. I also want to do some Castlevania in the early morning. We'll see what we do. Later, folks.